injuries looking at the moment? You've got a couple of head injuries, haven't you? How are both of those players?
Yeah, neither of those, they failed their tests during the game last week, so neither of those boys will play.
In Ed's case, he's had head injuries, hasn't he, this season? So how long might he be out for after his latest knock?
He's got to see a specialist. Then I believe we'll know on the second week once he's seen the specialist.
So will that be next week?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are your fears on that?
As long as his health's okay, that's the main thing. That's the protocols are there for a reason. If the specialist, it's black and white. He either gives him a tick or he doesn't. So the main thing with Ed, or anyone who gets a head knock, is their health.
Would you expect Amir to be back next week?
Yeah, well, he's 11 days, so he's in that time frame. So yeah, he'll be available next week.
What are your options in the second row and hooker for this week?
We've got Will Hutchison's there. We've got Kate Cuss. We'll finalise the side on Friday, so I'll talk about the team when we get close to it.
Do you know in your own mind at this stage what you're going to do?
No, we've trained today. We're just viewing that now. We'll discuss with the coaches and we'll have a side for Friday.
Deneve on loan at Catalans at the moment. Any chance of him being recalled?
No, we decided against it. Amir's only out for a week, and just didn't want to jeopardise his playing first team now, and he's doing pretty well. So we didn't want to jeopardise that for a week only. Had it been any longer, we may have looked at it differently.
Have Catalans said they'd like to extend that loan?
I haven't spoken to him, mate.
Okay, but it's good that he's getting some action, and he seems to be doing okay, as you mentioned there. How encouraging is that for you? Yeah,
that was the reason he went there. He's got things on his game that we've spoken to him about and that he's got to work on, and he's doing his best down there.
Any other fresh injuries?
Not off the top of my head, mate, no.
Jed was a bit of a concern because he was icing up after the last game. Is he okay?
Yeah, I said after the game he was playing 60 minutes and that's what he did. So he just iced it up after the game, as per the protocols with hamstring injuries.
Any players back this week?
Oh, no, I don't think so, mate. No, not
good. And what about some of the longer term injuries that you've got? Will Price, I think, was due a scan.
Yeah, none of them have changed, mate. They were down for the 10 weeks, and when that 10 weeks is up, that's when they'll be. We'll look at them.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for the update. You've been linked this week with Brisbane halfback Jock Madden for next season. Are you trying to get a deal done there with him?
Look, we've spoken with a lot of players. It's all it's a few spaces left within our roster, and it's always. You've got a lot of balls in the air, so it's definitely someone that we have spoken to, but we've spoken to several players, and then it's just when we get answers and replies back, then we'll work out what's best for the club.
With him in particular, how hopeful would you be of getting a deal done?
Like I said, we're talking to many a player, and when we get replies back, we'll do exactly what's best for the club in our view.
You know him, don't you, of course? You've worked with him before. What sort of player is he, for those that haven't seen him play?
Yeah, he's can play pretty much anywhere, half, 5'8", hooker, fullback. He's a runner, good kicking game, kicks goals, and a real good team man.
When would you hope to resolve that situation?
It'll be ongoing. I couldn't give you a time frame.
Okay. And the other big story this week has linked Jack Charles with Hull KR. What can you tell the fans on that?
Look, Jack's contracted to us for next year, and there's negotiations around extending at that. That's where we sit at the moment. He's contracted for next year.
Are Hull KR talking to you as a club about him?
I haven't, as I said, he's contracted to us for next year, so they've really got to wait till December 1 for anything to happen there.
Okay. Let's discuss the picture regarding the form of your team at the moment. How are you feeling about things, and how are you seeing the bigger picture regarding where you are in the table and a third of the season to go?
Yeah, look, we've just been patchy for the last 6 weeks. There's a few sort of reasons for that, but I don't want to sort of go into that because it can come across you looking for excuses. Best thing for me and the staff is that they're competing every week. We've been in every game that we've played probably in the last 10, 12 games. They haven't all gone our way, but the attitude and the effort of the players could never question. We've bumbled our way through some error-ridden games, but that doesn't come down to effort. The effort to stay in the game has always been there, and there hasn't been many games that we haven't been in right up until the last 5 minutes.
How important was last weekend's victory, do you feel, in the grand scheme of things?
Yeah, it was a big one. There was, outside pressure. There was never sort of internal pressure on winning at home. I think we all wanted to. We certainly, you don't go out there to lose. But it was becoming, more and more, noise from outside. So to be able to do it in the way we did it was very pleasing. I was just really happy at the end of the day for the players and all the fans that were there. And
with 6 of your final 9 games of the regular season at home, it was timely, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's, if we can turn that into a bit of a fortress, it's going to really help us come the back end of the year. But first of all, we've got, Wigan away.
Your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, you never get an easy game at Wigan, and they're sort of fighting for top place. Both sides got plenty to play for. So don't expect anything different to whatever Wigan give you. You've got to earn everything you get against Wigan.
Do you think they'll be more fired up in light of the fact that Hull KR have lost the last couple of matches?
Oh, it's probably opened up that top spot. I know they've got to play each other at some stage between now and the end of the year, so it's that'd be something I'm sure that's at the back of the coach's mind.
What confidence does having beaten them already at their place give you?
Oh, hard to say. It's nice to know that we have done it, but it's a whole new ball game this week. Both sides got different teams trotting out on the paddock. It's a different stage of the year. So it'll all come down to what happens on the weekend.
This will be your 4th encounter, I think, this season. What about the other games in Super League that you've played against them? You met them early on, didn't you, in the season?
Yeah, no, they've totally dominated us. The 2 Super League games we've played, so we're looking to make sure that we put in a better performance in those 2.
They're without some big players, aren't they, at the moment? Bevan French, of course, being the big one for them. How are you seeing them in light of those injuries that they've got?
It's just sort of next man up mentality for them. They just seem to keep producing players that come in and do a job for them. That's the strength of Wigan. There's an expectation when you wear that jumper how you're going to play, and it's worked for them for a long time. And it's they're sitting second on the competition table at the moment, so they're up there for a reason.
What have you been working on hardest this week?
Just getting our game right. It's it doesn't change much from week to week. It's just trying to keep the game as simple as we possibly can. Our second half against Wakefield last week was where we'd like to be consistently. The only difference was that we held on to some ball and give us the opportunity to put apply some pressure down at the right end of the field, and we had, we come up with some good efforts to score tries. So if we can sort of compete that second half performance that and it's strictly around hanging on to the ball. The effort's always been there. It's just about trying to get those errors out of our game.
I spoke to Jed about Zach Hardacre and the input that he's having at the moment. What's pleasing you about the contribution of him in particular, and the way he continues to confound his critics?
Yeah, just his leadership. He's a natural born footballer. He just bobs up in the right places. He saves tries, he scores tries, he sets up tries, and he makes the people around him better. So it's probably more the stuff you don't see that Zach does that's so impressive.
Yeah. Okay. Wish you well this week. Thanks very much for your time, John.
Cheers.
Hi John, there was a reserve game this week, Jack Ramson, obviously had a groin issue. Will he be okay for that?
Yeah, he'll play.
Good stuff. And in terms of Will Hutchinson, obviously you debuted him this year in Challenge Cup. He's played a couple of Super League games as well. So what have you made of the time he's had, and more importantly, how has he developed with you in training every week this year?
Yeah, he's physically and football-wise, I think he's improved. We haven't been able to get him out on loans, but he's played every reserve grade game. He plays 80 minutes. I just like his competitiveness. He wants to learn, and it's a good opportunity to give him some game time against quality opposition.
What impresses you with him then, skill-wise? Obviously, we talked about his will to learn, but what is it that makes him tick as far as you're concerned?
He's clever with the ball. He's got good game awareness and good skill. He's got good speed when he has to, and he's a tough little character. I just like the way he goes about his business.
Obviously, he's one that the club have already confirmed, along with the leave that you've tied up. So you spoke about creating competition and creating depth. Well, in hooker, you've certainly done that.
Yeah, that's the plan. Get that right across the field. Have guys sort of going hard at each other. to force their way into the side. It's just at the moment, we've got Deneve out on loan. Amir's our first choice at the moment. Custy's been doing a good job when he gets in there at 9, so it's a good position to be in.